And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma, sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is hilarious.
Bill Maher is out here wrecking woke arguments like it's his full-time job, and his latest target, none other than Whoopi Goldberg. Now let's be real, the actress kind of had it coming given her ever-growing portfolio of cringe statements since 2022. Maher didn't just criticize her, he verbally disassembled her, piece by piece, in a takedown so brutal it left Whoopi scrambling for cover like a cartoon character dodging anvils. So, what exactly did Goldberg say this time to earn Ma's unfiltered wrath? And how did his clapback manage to leave the woke mob devastated? Don't worry, we've got all the juicy details right here.
We have got to get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing. The right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
Buckle up, folks. This isn't just a bumpy ride. It's a roller coaster with no seatbelts. Whoopi Goldberg has poked the bear, and now she's dealing with the claws of brutal truth. And oh, it's not pretty. Remember our last video where Bill Maher shredded Sunny Hostin for trying to pull a fast one by putting words in his mouth? Well, turns out the View crew isn't taking the L quietly this time. It's Whoopi Goldberg stepping up, apparently on a revenge mission to deliver their pound of flesh. Looks like Sunny couldn't handle the heat.
And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class? I mean...
brought, so she called in the cavalry, Whoopi Goldberg herself. And boy, did she come in hot, ready to rumble like a contestant in a reality show nobody asked for. I mean, classic Whoopi Goldberg, flipping through the woke playbook like it's her Bible. When your argument's sinking faster than the Titanic, whip up a straw man and go on the attack. Bill Maher was making a clear point about Black Americans wanting better jobs, a stronger economy, and responsible policing. Simple enough, right? But here comes Whoopi, rambling about voting for
Tear down statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no, it's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid.
a former prosecutor with plans for the working class. How does that connect? Now, do you see the logic? Of course not, because there isn't any. It's like she's playing darts blindfolded, hoping something sticks. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And Bill Maher didn't let it slide. Bill Maher didn't mince any words there. He pointed out that Whoopi's ideas are probably nonsensical, which is typical of The View. The View has become the political talk show equivalent of a train wreck. Painful to watch, yet somehow impossible.
The criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time, and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not focused on that right now.
To look away from. Sure, it's known for its controversial and, let's face it, questionable takes on just about everything. But Sunny Hostin and Whoopi Goldberg managed to elevate the chaos to new heights with their utterly outrageous commentary. Remember that time Charlemagne the God braved the set as a guest? You could practically see him wondering if he'd stumbled into some sort of alternate reality. Sure, it's practically impossible to have a conversation with the man who lives in doubtfulness and who is. The criticism is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time and they act so self-righteous. The reality is, he didn't have to say,
I'm gonna stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You
his
really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all of a
No,
sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over.
Say anything in regard to whether or not his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, "Hey man, I'm not focused on that right now." Here's the backstory. President Joe Biden, the self-proclaimed champion of no one being above the law, just pardoned his son Hunter Biden after, surprise, surprise, he was found
She was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law.
guilty of corruption and other related offenses. Talk about family values, right? This move has predictably set off a firestorm of criticism. After all, how do you square the whole "no one is above the law" shtick when your son gets a free pass? It's almost like saying, justice is blind unless you're a Biden. Hunter's guilt was as obvious as a toddler caught with cookie crumbs on his face, yet somehow accountability just didn't make it onto the family calendar. And that was Charlemagne's.
So I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that
You're
go out.
mis-
They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
Listen,
they don't have to do that.
Point. If the woke mob claims no one was above the law, then they should live by their own standards. Simple, right? Well, Whoopi thought otherwise. "I'm gonna stop you for a second, she said, "only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed. You really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend?" "Oh no, I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else get over." And there you
You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit.
have it. Another eye-roll-inducing gem from the queen of cringe herself, Whoopi Goldberg. This time, Whoopi actually claimed that President Biden didn't lie when he said no one was above the law. Really, Whoopi? Because there's a mountain of evidence, video, audio, and probably even cave paintings, proving he said exactly that. This nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. Watching Whoopi tell a blatant lie is like watching someone confidently argue that the sky isn't blue while standing under a cloudless sky. At this point, Whoopi's mental gymnastics could qualify her for the Olympics, but even then, she'd probably trip over her own logic. You could even see the shock on Charlemagne's face at Whoopi's statements. But she didn't stop there. She claimed it's possible Biden changed his mind because he was sick and tired of watching everybody get over.
Appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course, you don't
but I
follow
mean,
this.
saying
You gotta-
know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
For him, Charlemagne was stunned into silence. "So I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always because that's what's expected of Democrats, but that's their fault. They're the ones that go out there and stand on this moral high ground. They don't have to do that." You see, the problem with a woke mob is they only call out wrongdoing when the offender isn't part of their exclusive little club. But when the guilty party is one of their own, suddenly the outrage turns into a whispered defense or a convenient case of selective amnesia.
Above any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
Of course, Whoopi and her ilk got away with their shenanigans because it was Charlemagne on the show. But when Bill Maher got wind of their antics, he said, "Hold my beer," and he delivered one of the finest verbal eviscerations we've heard in a while. You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bull. Couldn't have said it better. The woke mob loves to parade themselves as the ultimate truth tellers and moral compasses, but their double standards were laid bare for the world to see. This time, Hunter Biden was guilty, plain and simple. But because his dad happens to sit in the Oval Office, he gets to waltz away without so much as a slap on the wrist. If this were anyone else,
Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them. Black people, they're just like us.
the mob would be calling for their head on a silver platter. But when it's one of their own, suddenly justice takes a backseat to favoritism. It's hypocrisy at its finest, and Maher was right to call it out for what it truly is, a complete farce. The real question is, how much longer will Americans put up with this two-faced behavior? It's not just about Hunter, it's about a system that bends over backward for the powerful while throwing the book at everyone else. Maher's takedown wasn't just timely, it was a wake-up call for anyone still clinging to the illusion of fairness. But here's where
Said there's a coalition of Trump voters, people who really like him, they certainly are those, and then there's people who don't necessarily like him that much, but they still think he's less crazy than stuff that strikes them as aggressively anti-common sense.
it all gets interesting. Maher pointed out that the woke mob often gets help from the mainstream media. Was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden story? He's talking about the press doing that, saying that's what they did. And that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election. And we know for a fact that that's what they did. And of course you don't say, you know for a fact that that's what they did? I don't know what they did. I know because you only watch MSNBC. No, that's not true. The media bent over backward to downplay the Hunter Biden scandal.